Squirtlemon Squad!
Hey Tamers, this is Doc Sally from the Squirtlemon Squad. This past weekend, our very own Jacob from the squad placed 11th at Regionals, earning his invite to Nationals, with one of his only 2 losses being to Zero, who placed 2nd. I know some of us have seen plenty Black or Greymon decks, but this deck profile is really good because Jacob does a great breakdown of his deck, strategy, matchups, and level ratios. Let me know in the comments if you guys like to see more deck profiles like this. Thanks for watching!
Hello, this is Jacob. Today I'm doing a deck profile. This is my Blackware deck that I got 11th place at the Texas Regionals, in-person Regionals. So the first thing we're going to start off with are the eggs that we're running. I'm actually doing 4 of the BT9 Coralmon. The other option would be the BT5 Coralmon just to get extra consistency from draws, but I found that in a lot of test games, I really actually needed the plus 1k, especially against the mirror, and swinging into security was a real big threat, since a lot of times your Metal Grace just won't be big enough to hit over other 6s or 7s. So that's the eggs. And then moving on, we have the rookies. So I'm playing 4 BT12 Agu, 4 Agumon X, 2 Promo Agus, and then 2 Solarmons. So the basic core is that we're running the 4 Agus and Agu X's as our searchers for extra consistency. They're also very good just to evolve up into, and you can do some cool combos with Cool Boys to just get a ton of draws out of these. The Promo Agus are mainly in here for the mirror. Another side note throughout the deck is that I'm running a lot of inherited DP boosts because they didn't work not only just against the mirror, but also against a Shine Ruin mode. And then for the final rookie, I chose to cut the normal 2 extra Promo Agus for 2 Solarmons. I found that they didn't really hurt consistency too much because you mainly evolve the promo in the back rather than the searcher because you want to play the searcher. So I found that it was just as easy to evolve a solar in the back when it wasn't useful, but when it was useful, it had a huge impact on my games against decks like Blue Flare that their whole game plan is contingent on reducing play cost. Even if they can remove it, just the delay that it puts them on for an extra turn is a huge difference in the overall game. Next, for my level 4s, I'm running 1 Security plus Greymon, 2 BT5 Gain of Memory Greymons, 2 EX1 Greymons, 4 Greymon X's, and then 1 Black-Red Greymon X. So in here, the first thing I want to talk about is just how many Greymon X's I'm running. The reason I'm running so many is because I was mostly afraid of decks like Beelzemon that really punish you for not having protection. So I tried to run as much as these as I could just so I can ensure that I don't just drop out of games due to not having protection and getting wiped out by something like 7th Full Cluster. As for the main Greymons, I'm running a mix of these 3 types. First is the EX1 Greymon. This one has when attacking I can play a tie, so this is very good for allowing me to get a free blocker tie. I found this to be really useful, not only in just getting advantage, but also getting ahead in the mirror, because most other players will be forced to just hard play out their tie for 3, but this effectively gives you an extra 3 memory just for attacking like you would normally. As for the others, I'm running 2 Gain of Memory Greymons. These are very good just for having a quick option to evolve. They're very efficient at choking the opponent only 1 memory, and the 2k is important for hitting over a lot of bigger threats. And then I'm also running only 1 Security plus Greymon. While doing the damage is very nice, my deck is a little more focused on trashing security, so the extra damage is just to have a nice threat, but it's not super important for my overall game plan. Next, for my level 5s, I'm running 4 BT12 Metal Gray, 3 Metal Gray X from BT11, and 1 BT9 Metal Gray X. So in terms of the spread, I think 8 5s is very good. It can be really hard to find your 5 sometimes, but they're very important to your pieces. For standard Metal Grays, I felt that the BT12 Metal Gray was the best, just because of its ability to raid into large things and then activate X antibody to go into your big boss monsters. The piercing is also very important because it allows the deck to do a lot more damage than you can without it. Without it, you're forced to really just focus on controlling the board, but with the piercing, you're able to easily deal damage to a lot of defensive decks or ones that are just trying to survive while clearing their board. As for the Metal Greys, I found that in this format, I expected a lot of decks that were focused on removing my Metal Grey, and decks that had very strong security options. So like Blue Flare hitting a Sorai, Hammer Spark, or Ice Wall. So I wanted to prioritize trashing security over the Metal Grey X. The Metal Grey X is very good when you evolve into the Raid War Grey specifically, but these were better overall in my game plan. I mainly wanted the Can't Be Reduced and the D-Digivolve aspects of it, since it helps me against decks like Shine and Machine Dramon that can easily remove your stack if you don't have any form of protection. But I did still like the one red Metal Grey X because the 3000 DP was very important. And once again, like the +1 Greymon, it just gives you an extra check and a lot of early damage that you can take advantage of. As for my 6s, I was running 1 BT12 War Grey, 2 Black Wars from BT8, and 3 Black War X. Initially, I was trying out just a regular 2-2 split, and it was very consistent, but I felt like I had to focus against decks that were my biggest threats to me. While some of the big ones were pretty easy to see, like Hunters, I could put in the Black Wars to pop Tamers and take advantage of that. Another big threat was Blue Flare, and I found that I just couldn't compete with Blue Flare. Since you're almost always stunned, I needed the redirect and the board control from Black War X to really take over that matchup. That being said, I didn't want to go all in on Black War. I do still like the utility and the huge DP boost that War Grey gets, which makes it very, very valuable in the mirror. Since I'm running a spread like this, I have options of going into lines like using the Red Metal X and the Security plus Greymon to do a lot of damage like a traditional Red War would do. But I also have options like using the Metal Grey X into the Black War and Black War X to have a more control focused and take advantage of the game state. I'm also running 1 level 7. I found that my Black War deck was becoming very heavily a toolbox style of deck, so I found OmniX to just be a great extra tool that allowed me to take care of things I couldn't. Some cards like the Armor Purges and Blue Flare, and things that have deletion protection, the OmniX is very valuable for being able to get around that. And it was also just very nice for being able to get a free damage by swinging and activating X Antibody to trash that last security and connect for game. In addition, just being a 16k threat, it's very nice to be able to get its security and crush a lot of high DP targets. As for options, I'm running 1 Red Memory Boost, 2 Hades Force, and 3 X Antibody. The Red Memory Boost is very nice in matchups like the Mirror because it can't be removed through tools like Black War, and it is just another consistency booster. Hades Force is definitely a huge star of the deck. The basic function of it being a security bomb is nice, but the ability to blow out Tamers and just completely switch the game over to your side is a huge bonus that this deck is able to accomplish. I'm also running 3 X Antibody. This card is almost essential for a lot of your combos, just because it can trigger cards like Black War X, and it can allow you to raid with Metal Grey, X evolve into one of the Metal X's. The most common use I was finding I had for it was having a Metal Grey on field, swinging and being able to raid into Black War X to easily clear over high DP threats that aren't able to be attacked normally. The reason I wanted to run 3 specifically is just because since I'm playing so many Black War X's, I needed to be able to reliably activate them. In addition, being able to use it for combos like the OmniX just makes it worthwhile to run 3, and I felt like 2 was just too little to reliably see it. And then finally is the Tamers. I'm running 2 Cool Boy, 4 Taikamiya from BT12, and 1 Yuya. Cool Boy is just a great, efficient tamer that allows you to get further consistency, especially because I'm playing so many X Antibodies. And being able to search the option is very nice, but just the gain 1 memory draw, doing it turn after turn, can really put you ahead in just advantage. I'm playing 4 Tai. The memory is very nice, and it is my only source of getting blocker in this deck. So it's very useful when the redirect isn't enough. You need some more defensive tools to take care of yourself. And being able to play it for free with the EX2 Grey is just a huge tempo swing in your favor. I am also playing just one Yuya. While a memory setter doesn't feel super necessary in the deck, I found that I would need the 2k DP not only in the mirror, but when I don't have access to my good level 6s, but most importantly, I wanted it for the option immunity. I was expecting to run into decks like Beelzemon, or just hitting bad targets in security, like a rival's Hades Force while I don't have protection or I don't want to waste my layer of protection. So I found it to be a very good card, especially when you're able to play it for free with the effect of BT12 Metal Gray. As for what I saw at the event, my first round was actually Bloom Lord, but because I'm running 3 Black War X's, it was a pretty easy hurdle to get through. Just clearing their board with the unsuspend deletion really puts them down and behind. Another deck I faced was Hunters. Because I predicted being Hunters a threat, I decided to run 2 Black War, and it was great for being able to just rush out a stack and pop 2 of their Tamers. That limits their colors, so they can't go into Superior mode and bottom deck your really valuable Black War stack. From there, just controlling the game, it can put you through, especially when they're so behind on Tamers. A very common deck I played was Blue Flare, like I had predicted. Blue Flare can be a manageable game to play against with Black War, but I found in testing that it was just a very strong hurdle that I couldn't get over a lot of the time, where no matter what I did, they just had the out. So the solution I found was to play Solarmon. The ability to lock them out for at least a turn is a huge detriment to them, especially when they usually only play 1 or 2 cards that can remove it. Just having the Solarmon sitting there and making them pay 7 instead of 3 for their Metal Grays gives you so much more time to finish them off before they can get you. The biggest threat I predicted going into the event was Machinedramon, simply because once they have a full Machinedramon line with Machinedramon, Chaos, and Chaos X, there isn't really any tools to remove it. My goal here was just to try to out-aggro them and take them out before they're able to get to that point, which is another reason I ran some of the Security +1 cards. That being said, I beat one Machinedramon due to them being a little slow in speed, but my second game against Machinedramon, I did end up losing it due to them achieving a stack before I could really recover and do enough damage to do lethal. I did end up playing against the mirror one time. Overall, my deck isn't particularly good at the mirror due to the lack of Raid War Greymons, but I ended up being able to squeeze it out just because of additions like Omni-X being able to remove even more layers of protection and playing right with the right tools to overcome it. Unfortunately, this is the end of the EX4 format, so in terms of planning around it, there isn't really a lot of room for change since it's already over. I feel like my deck was as good as it could be for what I predicted would be there. If I had predicted more Black Wars were there, I probably would have upped and changed the ratios on my 6s to include more Raid Wars. But I felt like this was a good list to take advantage of decks like Blue Flare and Hunters that I thought to be popular. As for future formats, I feel like this deck still holds up pretty well. These Solarmons I feel like are still a decent addition just because of Blue Flare still being a very strong threat. Protection is very valuable in the coming format with decks like Mirage and Belphemon being able to bounce and remove you if you don't have any way to negate it. I am mostly very sure on keeping the Metal Gray X's from BT11 just because becoming immune to reduction is very, very important against Shine, and then being able to clear stack is a game-losing thing to happen to you. Alright, and that's all for the deck profile. Thank you for watching, and good luck with your games.